Welcome into the newest episode of the Big Influence Podcast. Today we have Watch Hollie. She is a Twitch partner, a YouTuber, and like me, she also does a series of interviews. Highly recommended. The link to that will be in the description as well. Welcome in. How are you doing today?
I'm so good. It's early morning, but I'm here. I'm queer. I'm ready.
It is. I noticed you're in the Pacific time zone, and I've talked to a few people over there, and they always want to feel the need to like have me pull up a chart or whatever. I'm like, I'm not from the East Coast. I know how time zones work. You know, it's because the East Coast kids, they always got catered to on TV and things like that. So they didn't have to learn the other time zones like we did.
Oh, that's so funny. I didn't even think about that.
Exactly. Yeah. So I like to ask a couple of icebreaker questions at the beginning, just to kind of as a warm up, so to speak. Now, like me, you are a gamer. Now, in your life, to the best of your memory, what was the first time you ever picked up a controller or got on a keyboard and played a video game? What game was that?
It was with my neighbor when he got a GameCube. That was like my first ever kind of experience with it. And so I like went over, he got a GameCube for like Christmas or something. And he had like Super Smash Bros. And Mario Kart. And those were like the two games that like we would play. And then, of course, I asked Santa for a GameCube myself that following Christmas. And so Santa pulled through and we got myself both of those games, but also Zelda Wind Waker. So technically, I guess the answer is like Mario Kart and Smash Bros. But like the game that holds my heart to this day is Zelda Wind Waker.
Mario Kart and Wind Waker for a first game. That's kind of like teaching someone how to drink by using a fire hose, like especially Mario Kart. My first game was Duck Hunt. I just had to like point the screen and click, but you know that.
Oh no. Yeah, that was like the first time with the controller. Like I never had like a Game Boy or like anything. Like cuz I was homeschooled, I was pretty like sheltered, like go out and roll in the mud, like don't stay indoors sort of thing. And so I did that. And then I remember when I discovered The Sims. Oh my God, I was at the computer for hours. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, because like that is a weird controller to be your first. That must have been tough because like for me, I got an NES in Christmas in '92, so I had like two buttons, a start select, and a D-pad. And I know with my son, when I was teaching him how to play, he had like a full-on controller, and it's so much harder for kids nowadays rather than it was for me. But with you, you had the unusually shaped buttons and all that stuff. I never adjusted to a GameCube controller because it was not my first system.
That was obviously my first. I learned with it. Yeah. And so I think GameCube is like elite controller. And I think the one that kind of replicates it is the PS4. And I think that's why I gravitated toward the PlayStation instead of the Xbox for some reason. Just the comfort.
Yes, exactly. And
reminds me of home.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. I never adjusted to it. I think I never had a GameCube. I went from N64 to PS2. So okay. I got a GameCube later so I could play some Metal Gear Solid because I'm one of those people. But I've never quite adjusted because I always had to like look like I was learning how to type whenever it would tell me what button to hit. But, yeah.
Well, that was me with like the PlayStation controllers. Whenever I did like any QuickTime events, like let's say Until Dawn, I would always fail because I'd always look down. I'm like, I don't know which one's X. I don't know which one's like whatever. Like,
I'm not quick, so QuickTime is not my friend. But yeah. So also one other icebreaker question: if you can eat one thing every day for the rest of your life with no other options, what would it be?
Okay. So I feel like I have to go like health wise because like obviously like if I choose ice cream, which was my favorite thing on this planet, like I will just like deteriorate and pass away just because that's like not, you know. So I don't know if like the question has logic to it or not. So can I do like a meal?
Yeah, you can do a meal, like one item entree, like you can go.
Okay. Okay. So then we're gonna do like a healthy like turkey, some sort of vegetable, maybe like Brussels sprouts. And then like I like to have my things in 3. So maybe it could do like I'll do like the gluten-free noodles, but they're like what are they made from? I don't know, but they're like there's these gluten-free like
egg noodles
or whatever. No, I can't have eggs. I'm allergic to eggs too.
Oh no. Okay.
I know, it's so unfortunate.
Glass noodles are great. I don't know if they have gluten.
The what
glass noodles? You never had those?
Oh, I don't think so. They probably have gluten.
Hit up a Thai place. Well, Google it first. Don't
die at the Thai place. Thai, then I may have that. Anyway, so I do just those 3. So it's like a healthy whatever. And I'll feel like I'll survive on that. I like those 3 things enough that I'll do it. I love salmon, but you don't want to have salmon too many days in a row, so I can't
That's
pick
true.
that.
Mercury and stuff.
Yeah.
You'll be able to tell the temperature.
Yeah,
That's a
I'm
dumb
a
joke.
survivalist. Oh, that's so hilarious. I didn't even I'm a survivalist, so I have to just like live forever and last forever. So I have to choose that meal to yes, survive.
Alrighty. And as far as the main portion of the interview goes, we all started, I don't know about all of us. I actually know a few people that started gaming live, which I'm like, the stress of that is unimaginable. But you and I, we started gaming prior to streaming or creating content. What made you want to go from gamer to streamer?
Yeah, so I started on the GameCube, as I said, and played with that for my childhood. Once I went off to college, I didn't have any system or anything that I could play games on. And so I started watching YouTube, and I was just like a YouTuber. I just was a viewer, and I would watch so many videos. I would just like get so, I don't know. So like Nerd Cubed and Markiplier were like my two favorite people that I would watch all the time. And I was like, I really want to do this. I think like it'd be so much fun if I could like play games, but I've never played games like since I was a child. And so like I graduated college and I moved to California, and I was like, I'm gonna try this YouTube thing. And so I actually started making videos for YouTube first. And I would play scary games because that's like what I loved. And
I love them too, yeah.
I like bought a PS4, and I never had played a PlayStation before or anything. And so I just like bought a my HD60 capture card, and I like ran it through my 2014 Mac, and I just started recording everything. And I was like, wow, like okay, like I can do this. Like, and I would edit the videos. I spent hours editing and stuff to make it like super fun to watch me play this game. And then I'd upload it, and then I'd get like one view. And then I somehow had 2 comments, even though there was only 1 view, hating on me. And I'm like, what?
The
Like, and
secret
people
to that
were
is
so mean.
the view that wasn't counted was less than 30 seconds, which means they did not give you a fair chance prior to commenting.
Yeah. Well, okay. Doesn't matter. But the people were nasty. People were mean. And I was like, oh my God. I was like, I can't do this. It's like, this is awful. So I probably only did that for like 6 months and uploaded probably like 10 videos or something. Just because it would take forever to edit. And I was working like a full-time job too. And so I was just like kind of like every once in a while, and I was like, oh, people are so mean on the internet. And so I stopped. And then when pandemic happened, I didn't really play games like on my free time either, just because I was like working so much, and I have a dog, and it was just like I was like, like I don't know. And so when I got laid off due to the pandemic, I was like, someone told me, was like, hey, like, are you gonna start your YouTube back up? I was like, no, they were way too mean. I'm like not gonna do that. They're like, well, what about Twitch? I was like, I don't know what that is. And so I Googled it, and I saw like the whatever. So I made an account that day. And then I hit go live that day, and I just sat there and nobody showed up. And I was like, oh, this is hard. And then I hit end stream after like 30 minutes, and I played Bloodborne. And so I was like, okay, well, let me see like what's happening. What can I do? What are the requirements? Like stuff like that. And I just started like researching or whatever. So from there, it was just a way for me to play games, honestly. Like I wasn't like looking to become famous. I really wanted to be Markiplier, like sure. But it was just like, oh, I just want to play these games, and I like when people watch me play the games. But yeah, I don't know. So that was kind of my way of that, and an excuse. Like, oh, I have another, I don't know, like I want to play the games, but I feel like it's not productive when it's alone for me. So yeah.
Okay, because I was wondering what made you choose Twitch over YouTube, but as someone that's done live and pre-recorded, if it's a longer game, I try to find a reason to do it live so I don't have to sit there and edit, because editing is a soul-sucking process.
Yeah, yeah. I never even knew that YouTube had a live feature. I didn't even know about Mixer during that day because my friend just told me about Twitch. And so I was like, oh, okay. So I was very oblivious to everything.
All right, so on your streaming journey, because you said you got really into it in 2020, what is the most surprising thing to happen during that period of time?
I don't think anything was necessarily surprising. I think I just discovered what Twitch was. I knew nothing going into it, and I was very confused. So when someone came into my chat and did exclamation mark uptime. I was like,
Oh,
I
yeah.
don't know what you're talking about. Or exclamation mark, anything. I was like, I don't know what those are. And I didn't have follower alerts. Like I was very like just I didn't do research because I didn't know what was out there. I just didn't even know. And I should have watched other streams, but I didn't because I was just, I don't know, I just felt weird doing it. And so I just was like streaming for my friends. Like I started out with like I texted my old roommates, the person who told me to start on Twitch, and so they were in my stream. So I wasn't expecting anyone to come and watch me that wasn't a part of my immediate circle. And I remember the very first time I was playing Evil Within, and someone came in, Rose, and they commented. I was like, "Oh, like hi Rose, like who are you? Like which one of my friends?" And they're like, "What?" And I was like, "Oh, like are you like my friend Jessica that I texted about stream?" And they're like, "No, I just found you." I was like, "What?" Like you're just in my stream and I don't know you. You're like I was like, "Whoa." And it was just so wild to me that like other people, I don't know. So that was like literally like my first experience, I guess. I mean, like that was surprising to me that other people could actually find me, and that kind of opened up a world of like, oh, like I wonder what I could do possibly with this, and yeah, and so from there it was just like I think it kind of helped me that I didn't know what I was doing and I never watched Twitch before. It hurt me in a sense, but it kind of helped me too because people want to help. People want to be like, "Oh, well, I know a lot about Twitch. Let me help you. You don't know what commands are? You don't know what channel points are? Okay, so once you get affiliate, then this is," and then I was like, "Oh my God, thank you. Like, thanks for teaching me, telling me." And that goes the same with games. I didn't know how to play any of the games. I didn't know. I told you the like PlayStation controller was so foreign to me. So everything was surprising to me at the very beginning because I was like really learning for the first time, and chat was really helping me, whether that was my in real life friends that were watching or the random people that just discovered me. And I was shocked that they did.
Well, yeah, because every circle of Twitch friends has the resident guru. Be like, that's that one person you can DM, and they'll give you the whole, what's about or whatever you call it. But yeah, that is, and also it is always surreal that first time you get someone in a stream. They're not a streamer. They don't know you. They don't know your friends. It's just like a random person, and
Yeah.
it's always a little surreal the first time. Because I'm like, oh, do you stream? Right? No, I just watch. I'm like, oh, are you so and so's friend? Like, no, I don't know who these people are.
No, I'm just here. Like I'm chilling. Like what?
Yeah, it's great. And one criticism of Twitch is the lack of discoverability.
Mm-hmm.
Now, you're a partner now, which means at some point you average 75 viewers. So that means you found a way to break that barrier. How did you go about doing that?
So I think at the beginning, I benefited in playing different games, which is not what everyone will give advice. I feel like a lot of people will give advice of play the same game, but I disagree with that. I think for me, playing a different game every single day really helped me stand out amongst the one viewer people. So I could find just that one person in Five Nights at Freddy's or just that one person in Until Dawn. So I'd play all these really obscure games that didn't have a lot of following to them, that had they had a lot of following, let's say, but not a lot of people playing the games. So like Five Nights at Freddy, for example, like everyone knows that game, but not a lot of people are just playing that game. So when you scroll, like I remember when I like the first month of me streaming, I was playing Spider-Man, I forget, like Marvel Spider-Man or something. And a lot of people know that game, but a lot of people don't stream that game. And I was the first person at like 7 people or whatever. I was the very first person when you click on that game because no one was streaming it at that time. Yeah. So I had these like games that I would play, and I would play a different game every single night because I have ADHD and I could never finish a game. And I would go back and try and finish it, but usually I didn't. And I think that kind of benefited me by standing out and finding one person in that game category, one person in that game category. And I looked back at my stats recently, actually, as I'm doing these streamer interviews of being like, where did I start out? Kind of. I wish I could see daily when I first started, but it only shows me a month in Twitch tracker, and I'll look at it later for what daily is because I can find it in Twitch. Anyway, so I started out for the very first month at 10 average viewers. I started with 0 technically, and then I had a few friends that joined in order to get affiliate. And then the rest of that was just random people that I found. And in that first month, for me to hit 10 average viewers is bonkers to me. I can't believe I did that.
That is really big in a first. Yeah, regardless of platform, averaging 10 is a really big deal.
Yeah. And I mean, like, I don't know. I guess you can say it's a big deal or not a big deal depending on who you are. But I feel like a lot of time, like that's I don't know. I just feel like it's kind of difficult to do, especially in this this platform and in this like climate of how competitive it is, because everyone started
Yes.
streaming kind of like in the pandemic. Not everyone, but like a huge influx of people. So anyway, so I think it kind of benefited me that one, I didn't know what I was doing. Two, people I had backseating like allowed. Three, I played a different game and people would follow me for me. And so they'd stick around for those games for me. And then when I changed games, it didn't matter. And I find a new person that I was looking for a new game. So that was the beginning. And then after a little while, I started doing this A to Z challenge thing where I wanted to play all my games in alphabetical order. I only had about 100 games to do. So it was realistic for me. I was like 100 games, maybe that'll take me a year or something, and I'll complete each game. I don't want to 100% it or anything like trophy. I'm not a trophy hunter, but I just want to finish the game because my ADHD never allowed me to. And so I was like, I'm going to do that. And then people started, and that's when I kind of started watching other streamers because I never did that before. And I think that really helped as well too, because I would get to know these people and these people would get to know me. And then they're like, oh, Hollie's doing the A to Z challenge. She's taking on, which I just created that myself. Like, I don't think at least I think so.
I've never heard of
No.
that prior.
Yeah.
So.
So and then everyone's like, oh yeah, she's playing all her games in her inventory. And then everyone would start talking about it in chat and stuff. And then people would start following me or whatever because like, oh, that sounds really cool. Like I could never do that. It was difficult and I failed. I stopped at M for Mass Effect. I never got to Mass Effect and it took way longer than a year. It took 2 years. And then I just gave up. But it was because I started playing Dark Souls. And that's what I got stuck on. And so once I started playing Dark Souls, I know I played Dark Souls 1, 2, 3, and I just loved it so much. I was like, I'm going to take a pause on the A to Z challenge because I really want to play Sekiro. And so I bought Sekiro and I started playing that. And I was like, wow, this game sucks. and then from there, I went to this was the same time that Elden Ring kind of came out. And I had to wait probably just a month before Elden Ring was going to be released. So I was like, in the meantime, I'll play Last of Us 2. So I played Last of Us 2 and then I played Elden Ring. So all of those games took me about a year to do. And sticking to that game after the fact, I think really helped me as well too. So I was like slowly increasing by playing all the games, showing people my game library, started watching streams, and I started getting a lot of people. And then I kind of capped off at 50. And I just was kind of like stationary. I was playing different games. And I think at that moment when I became stationary is when the change in the games every single night, or now every few days, because now I started playing each game instead of a different game every night. That's when I got a little lull. And so then once I switched to Dark Souls, I started finding the Dark Souls community and I played that game and it took me forever. I would spend 30 hours on a boss, like do the same thing over and over again for like a week or whatever. And that made me happy. I liked playing those games. So I'm not saying play Dark Souls and you're raging, throwing your like roller or whatever and being like, I don't like this game. Like I really enjoyed it. And I was like getting kind of good at it. And so I really liked like when people would come in my chat and say like, oh, you're kind of good at this. And I'm like, huh, thank you. Like, I was like, oh, thanks. I've never been good at a game in my life. So anyway, so I think because of that, sticking to one game after my foundation is what got me into the 75 average viewers.
You mentioned community, and one thing I noticed, because I've streamed on both Twitch and YouTube. YouTube, it's far more common to have randoms pop in. However, since it is algorithm based, which is good on the surface, they're usually there for the game and not you, which means once you're done with the game, they usually don't come back. Meanwhile, on the Twitch side, even though it is harder to get people to come in, I know it's community building, which there is a distinction there, is much easier on Twitch, I found.
I don't have a comparison between YouTube and Twitch because I've never done YouTube, but my experience with Twitch, and this is the reason why I'm still streaming like now, is because of the community. I have the same people been a part of my community for 2.5 years. I have the same mods. My mods have not changed in the last 2 years, and so I'm super super lucky, and I'm glad of the quote unquote slow growth. I know it's not slow by any means, but I guess comparatively, the compared to those people that blow up within like a month or two, or something goes viral and then they just have 1,000 people in their chat or whatever. I love that I've had that steady incline. If you look at my stats, minus like the days I've gotten front page or something, that ignore those, of up into the 100, 200 average viewers. And that's like, I know each one of those people because I'll only get a few that chat each day, like a new person. So I'm able to learn about them. I have a really bad memory, but with these people, the more that you talk to them, the more that you remember. So if you see them every single day and you ask them questions and you're like, oh yeah, like I'm able to remember so much information about you. And my personal DMs are open, which that is not a boundary that I've had to set in my streaming career. And a lot of people will choose to close their DMs, and please do whatever you need to do. My DMs are open. People can just message me. I have a very open communication with all of my chat, and I've met a lot of people in real life. I did like a Hollie con is what I called it.
Hollie con, that's awesome.
Yeah, people could come and meet me in real life. And I like, there's one person I'm about to go to like a concert to. We're gonna go to Shania Twain. They've been in my chat for like, I don't know, 6 months, and they're like, "Do you want to go to Shania Twain?" I was like, "Yeah, I'll buy my ticket and
She's
we'll
still touring?
go."
I
And
had no idea.
yeah, in May. Well, this month, right? Is it May right now?
Yeah, it's 12.
Yeah, literally this month in like 2 weeks. So yeah, I mean, like I very much so, and I know there's that whole issue about parasocial relationships, like, and I completely understand. I feel like the slow growth for me, and I've been kind of, I hit like 200 average, like 170 average viewers. And then I had that, I told you about that breakup, that move, and then like I kind of like me myself just like it was a whole thing. So then I went down to 100 average viewers, and I've been just consistently staying at 100 for the past like 10 months now. So I haven't really, anyway, it doesn't matter, but the whole point is that those 100 people are there pretty much every single stream. And so I'm learning so much about them, and I'm becoming like best friends with them. And I genuinely feel like we are very much so friends, even though I know there is a parasocial relationship to a lot of them. But like, that's not necessarily how I view it, just because I don't know, like I've gotten to know them for a year at this point, at still having 100 viewers and the same people coming to chat every single time. And well, I'll go into my other friend's stream, and then I have my community that's in the other person's stream as well too. Like, let's be honest, is one of my best friends that moved to California because I convinced her to. Now we're super close, and I hang out with her all the time. And so a lot of her community is my community is her community. And so like we hang out and stuff. I don't know. So it feels, I forgot what even the question was.
It was about lack of discoverability, but you've discovered a lot of new friends. So
yeah. So I feel like that kind of like helped me, you know? It's like I just view them as like my besties, honestly. So yeah.
I hear you on that, because there's days where I don't feel like streaming. I'm like, I haven't talked to my friends in a while, so I'm just gonna go live anyway. But yeah, so I hear you on that. And one thing we all deal with, and you touched on this, I can't remember if it was before we went live or not. Wait, no, it was during the first question of the main interview. Trolls.
Mm-hmm.
How do you deal with them? Like, do
Well,
you
obviously,
antagonize, ignore?
obviously at first on YouTube, I just gave up. I was just like, God, I can't do it. Like, but then on Twitch, it was different because I was met with so many lovely people when I started out. And I was like, oh, the internet's not a bad place. I was terrified. Like going from YouTube to Twitch, I had such a bad experience on YouTube that I was like, oh, it's gonna be the same here, and people are gonna hate on me. And like a lesbian, like a woman lesbian, like come on, I'm like such a target for very like, and there was a lot of trolls that came in a stream early on. There are less trolls that come into my stream now that I average and I'm partner or whatever than I had when I was averaging 5, 10, 15 or whatever.
Honestly, content creation, I already knew it, but like it proved to me that male privilege is a real thing, because I hear stories I'm like, I can't relate to this. Like, you know what I mean? So I hear you on that, and it's definitely true. And also I have a Twitter account and I don't mute a lot of people. So yeah, it's
yeah. You also, I also feel like we can't do a lot of things that you guys can do as well too. Like if you look at a lot of channel points or rewards, like sometimes you'll have like these guys like, oh, twerk, and then they start twerking, and or they'll walk literally walk away from the camera to go get something, or like bend down because they drop something. Like if I twerked on camera, oh my God, like even though I'm bad at it, it would be so over sexualized. I can never have a
Exactly.
channel point for that. Like when these men is like, oh, let me dance for you. I literally someone in my community that I love dearly. I had like a dare redemption, where obviously anything
Oh,
like appropriate
okay, yeah.
I would do, and it was everything was fine. And they said, oh, like do jumping jacks, which is like super like, oh yeah, any guy would do that. For me, I was like, I literally cannot do jumping jacks. Like I'm so sorry, like because I'm a woman, like I can't. And so it's like all these things that like I'm also limited to because I'm afraid of being sexualized. I learned that I can't walk away from the camera without having things clipped. I have to put on a BRB sign. Like I can't do all these things because I'm a woman. I used to have a shock face of, oh, and someone would clip that and their titles would be, I love when she opens her mouth. I love when it's like all this stuff. And they would only clip when my mouth was open. I was like, now I can't even be surprised, you know? So it's like all these things, and there's all these trolls, and it's like one, you learn how to manage them, you learn to go on a BRB, you learn that now you cover your mouth with something that you probably never would have thought of before. So, okay, so for me, what I do is I ignore or I take it as a chance to educate. So I have a lot of people, a lot of trolls that would come in and say, like, how many genders are there? Like, obviously wanting to start
It's
something
bait, yeah,
or
for sure.
whatever. Yeah. And so for me, like, I'm not going to ban them, even though I know they are a bad actor. I'm going to use that time to educate my community, not them, because they will never be educated. But I will be the happy, wholesome Hollie educating my community of like, oh, that's actually a good question. Let's talk about that. Or someone says like, quizzing me. Do you know what the IA stands for in LGBTQIA? I was like, I do. Thank you so much for asking. And let me tell you what it is. Then let me tell you each, like, describe each one for you.
And the A does not
And that's
stand for ally for those
no,
listening.
no, it
Jesus
does not.
Christ.
So yeah, so I use it as a way to educate because I get a lot of trolls that are homophobic or sexist or whatever, and so I'll do it that way. Otherwise, I ignore. That is the best thing for my mental whatever. Like I don't engage. I don't think these people deserve engagement. I know a lot of people will use their comment as content to like a great example is Twoodles. She does a great job at getting these trolls, roasting them, and then putting it on TikTok, and she gets a lot of views because of that. For me, like one, I'm not good at roasting people. I would just be like, yeah, your face. Like that's literally I'm so
You are
bad at
too polite for the antagonized route, I'm assuming. Unless you
yeah.
just have an assassin for a moderator, but
Ah, God, my moderators, they bite. I love it. Anyway, so yeah, for me, like even I don't know if even if I could roast people, I don't know quite sure if I would. I just don't think that they deserve any of my energy. So I will just skip over the comment, pretend I didn't even see it, wait until my mod deletes it or bans them or whatever. I have the ability to read any comment that I want, and there are times where I'll read something. I was like, I don't even have the mental ability to talk about this right now. I'm not gonna read it. I'm just not gonna even acknowledge it.
one thing I really like, I noticed recently TikTok got rid of pinned comments because I used to see a lot of what's called the pin of shame. They would take the worst comment and pin it, and like you
Oh.
can either delete it or just, I'm not responsible for my community. Yeah.
Oh, interesting. I didn't know they took away pins.
Long story short, I'm really close to 1K. So like before I would put pin like, oh hey, help me get to 1K, but like yeah, I didn't have the option. That was bugged that day.
Oh.
But yeah.
Oh, interesting. Yeah.
Yeah. So because I want to stream over there just to see how that is. Also,
Hmm.
since fewer people can, maybe it could be available. I don't know. That's a side
That's
thing.
true.
But so one last question. We've touched on this a little bit, but what community building tactics beyond simply growing the number do you use on your Twitch channel? Basically, so more so, how do you make someone go from a viewer to a member of your community or feeling like they're a part of your community?
I think for me, because I have had that, I'm gonna put in the parentheses slow because I know it's not slow by any means, but that slow growth and a lot of the people that are in my chat don't necessarily represent the view count. I'm not having 100 people chatting at the same time. I probably have an average of like 30 people chatting at the same time or whatever. So I can get to know those 30 people really, really well. And I think one, my community is very welcoming, and I'm very fortunate for that. So if a new person comes into stream and they say hello, they'll probably know that they've never seen them before because we have such a close knit community. They'll be like, "Oh, hi, welcome in." It's like, "Oh, how are you?" And I have mods that just naturally are like, Pixie is one of my mods, and she just like is amazing. I've never asked her to do this, where she'll just be like, "Oh, like what's your favorite game?" Or like, "Oh, what do you do for work?" Or like she just like is so chatty and she just likes to get to know people. And so she authentically, very much so, like talks to a lot of new people. And in doing so, I get to read those messages as well too. Like if I'm in an intense part of the game, I'll like look back or whatever. I'm like, "Oh wow, now I've just learned that Bob is a builder and whatever," right? Like I've learned so much about this new person that my community has now asked all these questions, and then I can do follow-up questions or whatever, or I can start it if whoever is listening, it's a smaller community, you can't get your mods to ask all the questions or whatever. So yeah, I think for me is like I just ask questions. I'm just such a chatty person, and I think for me, like people feel a little bit safer to like talk to me about a lot of things because I am so open, I am vulnerable. Like even though like I'm very happy and upbeat, like I'm not like that all the time, and we get into really serious conversations. Like we probably talked in the last like my last couple streams, like we started talking about everything, like super serious relationships and communication and compatibility and like exes, and just like we get really serious as well too. And I think that allows people to kind of like either want to chat and say hi, like, "Oh, I have an opinion about this," um, but then also make them feel safe as well. Yeah, so I think for me, like, I'm genuinely getting to know them. If they get in the Discord, because my Discord is gated, it's 1.5K channel points to get in my Discord. And we personally send out the links. The mods will, whoever redeems it, the mods will get the link and send it to them. And they have like a few days to join or something. We have that for safety reasons because I'm a woman, lesbian
Yeah,
streamer.
makes sense.
We've had a lot of bad actors come into my Discord and post very inappropriate images or whatever, or say awful things. And so we want the people that are in there. Like I care less about growth. Like I'm not looking to have thousands of people in my Discord. Like I'd rather have like a fun, very close knit Discord, and the people that want to get in there, perfect. You can be a part of it. And but the people that are going to be bad, stay out. And it totally works. It totally works, you know? Um, so I think like the people that get in my Discord are there for good reasons, and we can get to know each other very like better. I have gaming nights and community nights, and we just did karaoke the other night. That was so fun. And
Oh,
I
that
get to
sounds
talk
fun.
to these people. Yeah, I get to talk to these people, and like they can sometimes I'll turn on my camera, sometimes I won't, and we'll just like hang out together. And yeah, so I think that like for me, like people really come back not for the game that I'm playing, just for who I am. And I think it's just like they're my friends just as much as they like I don't know. Like I very genuinely feel that way. Not everyone, but a lot of them.
I mean, it's the 20s, which is feels weird saying that, but in this day and age, it's so, especially as an adult, it's so much easier to make friends online than in real life.
Oh yeah. I mean like I don't even want to say like real life because they are like my real life friends. Like I want to say
That's a
like
good way of
the
putting it.
people. Yeah, like maybe I can say like in person versus online or whatever, because I just genuinely feel like the people that I have met in streaming, like I've met like on my birthday party, the 99% of the people there were from online, however that meant. And I've never had like a better birthday in my entire like my birthday has always been like a really bad, sad, whatever. But like this year was like so amazing. I was surrounded by so many people that I genuinely like thought cared for me and that genuinely were my best friends. And they're all from online except for like one person.
Well, that's fantastic.
Something that's super important to think about is that if you are just basing all of your friends off of your immediate circle, you're very limited by who is in that circle. Is it your coworkers? Is it who you go to school with? Is it your neighbors, right? You don't really,
Yeah.
or maybe your hobbies as well too. And if those people, it's like you're kind of forced to be friends with those people because they're just so close to you. Online opens up the entire world and you can choose who your friends are. And that's something that I didn't kind of do when I was younger. I just thought, oh, I want everyone to like me. I want to like everyone. But that's not how that works. Like you can set your boundaries. You can see who hypes me up. Who's going to be my hype person? Like who's going to actually care for me? Who's going to take that bullet for me or whatever? Well, I don't know about that, but like, it's
Yeah.
like who would I take a bullet for? Who am I going to hype up? Like who do I want to build me up in those moments? And I can choose someone that's from Brazil that I would have never met before.
Have you ever thought about doing like a long form video talking about friendships in the modern gaming space? Like a stream of
Well,
consciousness type thing? Like a vlog.
uh,
I'm not maybe not a vlog, but like just
yeah. So not necessarily the friendship, but I actually just started a podcast on my own. I just released the very first episode with me and my best friend Alyssa. We met on Twitch
oh, okay.
and we hang out all the time now. And it's called Messy Conversations with Watch Hollie. Her username is the Mess Express. Obviously, I'm Watch Hollie. And we talk about anything and everything other than streaming, actually. And so this week's podcast was about compatibility. So we talked about like relationships, whether that was platonic, coworkers, or romantic. And she is so knowledgeable. And I go to therapy, so I don't know, maybe I know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
So I feel like together so people in both of our communities can submit questions. We compile them together, see which ones overlap, and then we talk about that. So this one was about compatibility and choosing your friends and things like that.
I just realized this recently, but as far as friendships go, there's a lot of like aside from the obvious, which I don't think I have to explain. There's a lot of overlap between what I would seek in a friend and what I would seek in a partner, as far as personality type and all that stuff goes. Because
Oh yeah.
aside from like the obvious, like it's two versions of the same thing, except one's part time and one's full time. If that makes sense.
That's hilarious. I never thought about it in that way. But yeah, I feel like if you're not dating, if you're not marrying, if you're not whatever, like your best friend, so it's like, I put a little question mark there, of
Yeah,
like if they should be your best friend.
exactly. Because if they're not, you're not gonna want to be around them, which that's kind of a requirement.
I mean, I guess you don't have to. But yeah.
Hollie, I want to thank you so much for coming in. Now, before we go, now all of your socials and all your links are listed below you. But for the audio listeners, where can we find you?
I'm at Watch Hollie on everything, but Hollie is spelled IE. So WHTCHHOLLIE. It's just my name. But yeah, I'm literally on TikTok. I'm on YouTube. I'm on Twitter. Like think of any like a Facebook, any social platform. I'm
Same
there.
username everywhere.
Same username everywhere.
That is the move. That is the move. Also, it's easier for me because I'm going to have to like enter this below your name.
Exactly.
All right, so I want to thank you so much for coming in. I appreciate you spending your time here, and you have a great day.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you so much for having me.